You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and today we have another special guest for today. We're going to talk to Michaell Magrutsche, and he is not just into the arts and creativity, but he is someone that's all about humanity. You can check out his website. It's also my website, michaellm.com. That's MICHAE 2 L's.com. And today's topic, we're going to talk about being a successful system navigator versus fulfilled human. So, Michaell, I know you're a multimedia artist, educator. Welcome to the show. And how you doing, man?
Hi, Shamaya. Nice to meet you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was very unaware as when I was born, obviously, like everybody else. And I was a sick child. And then I got the second hit when I went to school, and I couldn't understand it. And I found out I'm dyslexic and dysgraphic. I still can't read my writing. But I've written 5 books. I've worked with, co-produced with Robert Evans, who did The Godfather, and Chinatown and Love Story. I was City Arts Commissioner. So I have learned everything self-taught. Everything is self-taught. And this gave me a tool to be with humans and understand and communicate with humans, and not through systems. Because I always hit the wall with system. It's too limited in the commission, and it's too limited in general, because we are limitless humans. And it doesn't really matter if I'm dyslexic or dysgraphic. Every human has its place, right?
Man, I love that. And with that said, you are an expert in this art field, creativity world. And that is something that we should all try to appreciate a lot better, because with your success that you've been able to obtain, like you said, 5 art-related books. You're not just a podcaster, you're a coach, you're a creative advisor, and you do a lot of amazing projects.
Mm-hmm.
When you decided this is something I want to do on a professional level, what was some of the hurdles you had to get over in order for you to get to where you are today? Because I know it wasn't easy, but obviously you have done very well for yourself. What were some of the things that you had to get through to achieve the success you have today?
I would say I am successful personally. I'm not monetary or system successful. So I want to let everybody know, because we are in this delusion that everybody's rich. Mm-hmm. And everybody who is successful, this is, what I found out. Success, fame, achievement, and how much you work has nothing to do with you. You can, half of the world works for $5.50 a day to have to live for $5.50 a day, half of the workforce. People are successful and have no money. People with a lot of money are not successful. So what I learned, and also my ability of being dyslexic, is actually seeing context. And I learned from basically existing, from being in a moment, not worrying about the past and the future, but just being in a moment, like I'm being with you. I'm very much exemplary of what I am with everybody. I don't talk around the bush. I'm just here. And that's what I learned. That's what I learned through my adversity. And then one thing I think would really interest you, I found there's one big lie that is told by systems, because when we are born, everybody in the system. A hospital is already a system, the state, the government, everything. What we are taught is it's supposed to be sunshine every day. And life is not that, because if it was sunshine every day, you wouldn't even see the sun. It is the human condition is adversity, and adversity is the guide. So you hit the wall, and before you hit the wall, hopefully you realize that and change course. So to get to be the most that you can be is to accept, hey, life is not a struggle, it's just adversity. I feel good. And once you accept it, it's like when you accept this unhappiness, you can start becoming happy. When you accept adversity in life, you become happy. Things will work out. Not all the time, because you're accepting there will be adversity. And when you look at that adversity and say, hey, this is going to make me better, this is going to make me wiser, this is going to teach me, all of a sudden that unhappiness, because you can't have sunshine every day, will change into acceptance and inner peace. And I had to learn this because I was ADHD too and everything. So I was a mess. And I'm still not perfect, but this helped me.
And I love how you talked about success and defining it not based on how much you make, but based on your personal achievements. And that is something that I wish we put more spotlight on, because I think you're right. Success is not about how much money people are actually making, because someone who doesn't make as much money as someone else could probably be better than that person, but they don't get the recognition that they deserve with their creativity and with their expertise. So I think that's a very powerful statement that I definitely agree with that. I think it has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with you as a person and the impact that you bring to your own community. I think that's right on the money on that statement. When it comes to being an artist, why do you think artists get overlooked? I mean, we see all these different careers. Do you think that artists in the professional career path, do you think they get overlooked more so than other professionals?
Yeah, there's 97. This is why I wrote my last book, The Smart of Art, and did the podcast, The Smart of Art, because I was so upset because it saved my life. Art and creativity saved my life, right? Literally, if I wouldn't have art, I wouldn't exist. And 97% of artists worldwide are on the poverty level. Worldwide, not just in America or Europe or Asia. 97% of all artists exist on the poverty level, around the poverty level. So they just get by. And look at our world. Everything is created. Everything humanity created. So how can the highest discipline of bringing the non-physical into the physical, which is art, it has no purpose. It's not a purpose for an iPhone or for a computer or for a car. It's just the discipline of bringing in the non-physical into the physical, which is the highest form of creativity, is completely ignored. And I found out the reason for this is because artists and systems have never defined art. So the system didn't know how to define art. So Michelangelo painted for the church and they gave him, shelter and gave him money or whatever. Mozart worked for the king and the duke, and he could live with his family in the palace. And then at night he played things. So we have never, ever defined ourselves. So when you go to a plumber, you say, why am I paying $5,000? And the plumber tells you, I'm going to bathtub, toilet, tubing, and this is my labor. When you go to an artist, he says, oh, I got an Oscar, I got a Grammy, I got accolades of this. Who cares? What do you need that for? They cannot express how powerful art is and why you are so in love with power, with the art, with their art, for example. So when you come to me and say, I really like your art or whatever, and then I quote him a price, and I can tell him what I painted, why I painted it, why they love it so much, and so on. So they're getting, even if it's not tangible, they're getting a lot of information from me. But I have studied that. I did 5 books, so I went really deep in this because I was so disturbed by people not valuing art, And it's a human superpower. Everybody has that superpower. I'm making just conscious that they have it and how to access it.
And when you are selling your art and your books, what is the main core message that you try to bring across to people when sharing your vision and your creativity with your style?
I say that art is a human superpower. I say that it's a reflection of my personality, of my essence, loud, dynamic, inspirational. So when you go in a room and one of my art pieces hangs, you're not looking at the decoration. You're looking at my piece first. So mine is usually an engagement point to be engaged. When you walk into a room, you're engaged with my art or my music, and then you look at the rest. So I'm very much trying to get my personality across into my work.
And when people are going to your website, I love how your website, it has not just your work display, but the design is very telling that, it's done by a creative like yourself. When people go visit your website and they learn all about you and what you do, what is it that you hope they learn during the process of appreciating the art that you put on display?
Shemaiah, I cannot really, personally, I cannot influence you. You even if, remember this, if you marry a girl and you were with that girl for 2 years, I bet you don't know what wedding ring or which tie she buys you perfectly. We have no influence on others other than we are exemplary for. So when you go on my website and you like it, I like that, obviously, but it is a reflection of me. So I'm very comfortable with who I am, and probably that you feel that through my website and stuff. But we can't influence people by saying, okay, I think you like this or that, and I'm going to make this or that. I have a chance to a little bit, if I know you like the color navy blue, I can do a navy blue painting, but I would castrate my own creativity if I don't like navy blue. If I like navy blue and we both like it, so I don't have a lot of impact on other people through my work intended, but I have impact on people. I know that, but not because I intend to have impact. I'm liked by people and accepted by people, not because I want to be accepted. And I think there's we pivot as a humanity that it's another system that tells us, hey, if you market correct, you can create crap. And that's not true. People are way more sensitive. They get when you are not true and real. And so you can the only chance you have is to represent you. Not your race, not your gender, not your sexuality. It's who you are, finding who you are. And art is one of those superpowers that teaches you that. And I'm the example. I'm living the example of it. Because I couldn't get into systems. I couldn't get an education. I'm totally self-taught.
Once again, listen, I'm Refocused Radio, talking to our special guest, Michaell Magrutsche. And when you are talking about systems, man, that's so interesting, because the fact that you had to do this in a unique path on your own, like create your own path, so to speak. Mm-hmm. when people listen to this and they themselves can identify with maybe having the same story, you have the ability to really encourage someone right now who maybe they're younger and they're trying to deal with this and they're trying to navigate through life as well with their creative space. What's words of wisdom based on your personal life that you were able to be a professional and operate and live and be productive as a human? What words of wisdom will you give to young people who might be facing what you had to face?
I would tell all the young people that the more you look for who you are outside of systems, not the race, not the gender, not the sexuality, who are you? Not about because you are part of, but who are you as a human being? If you find that, what is your specialty? Because scientists now are proving that 97% when we're born, we have a skill or an ability that is better than anybody else on this planet. And when the people go through the system of school, they come out and it's reversed. Only 3% are gifted, left gifted. So I would give every person and all the youngins, I would say, just find you especially, just look inside. Don't look outside. Outside is just a reflection of who you are. It's just, if people give you problems, say why. Ask the question why. Don't expect an answer. Just be who you are. Just try to dive deep into you.
And with that, man, here's a segue to this question. So when it comes to art and creativity, in what ways does it bring us closer to humanity, and why that is so important for us all to understand?
Because what it does is, art is, I told you that it's the highest discipline of creativity, because you have no intent. You just try to have a conversation with the non-physical. And when you have a conversation with you, the non-physical, because you are both, you're physical and non-physical. When you have that conversation, you start, for example, with yellow or with red or with purple, whatever, and you start with that color on a canvas. You have a blank canvas, which is space, which is the most powerful. There's space, and then you create something. You create a sound, you create a poem, you start with a word, and then you just write, a dragonfly. And then some other word comes mountain, or some other word comes in, and you put these things on, and you were the master, because you are just taking these messages that you are asking for or looking for or open yourself up for. And then it falls basically in. The painting takes over, the piece of music takes over. You're the master for a while. And then there's a point where you can't put any tone in it. At the beginning, you can put two tones in it. But then if you have 100 notes, you can't put just any note in there. The harmony of those notes will give you choices to use, but you can't use any, and then it will be so perfect, the painting, the poetry and everything, that you just fill in the blanks. And there's a point where and you, in this process, you have to be in the moment. You can't think about, what's my wife gonna do? How do I pay for the bills and whatever? Obviously, you can always go in and out. But when you are in that flow, you learn who you are. And my friend just told me, he's a mortgage broker, and he says, when I clean my car, I see the effects. I don't see the effects. I mean, obviously I get money, but I don't see the effects of my work. And we are tactical beings. We need to touch each other. We need to, physically, experience stuff. And when you do that, nobody can take that away. I say, for example, Shemaiah, you created a podcast. You know nothing about podcasts. You're an idiot. You're nothing. It doesn't matter what I say. The words, I mean, you might be pissed at that, but your words don't care, you know, because you did it. You're doing it. You know, I
was going to say that.
Take away, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say that's an excellent point, because that can be anybody's career path, if you will. So whether you're an expert at with your talent, whether your talent is helping you make an income or make a living, or live your purpose, is yours. It's like a gift wrapped up, and when you open it every day, is yours. Like no one else can touch it. It's like your fingerprint is a part of your identity. And with everything you're saying, I hope people can understand that it's very universal. Like art is universal, and if we can learn to tap into creativity in art, imagine just how more connected we will feel, because humanity is also a part of creating an experience, like whether it's sound or if it's visual. We're creating an experience that stimulates some kind of emotion that draws people, like a good movie. If it's a action or drama movie, it has to have a good story, because if it's a boring story, there's no point watching the movie. Well, it's the same thing with someone in the creative space. If they're not themselves, I mean, it's okay to learn from experts, but you got to have your fingerprint somewhere on your work.
Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. And I think we need to be aware that the power, if you want to experience human power, you got to just pivot your perception to the absolute power. If you want to get a sense of that absolute power, which actually you and I demonstrating right now here, you got to see inclusion. You got to see that the power is not in separate. I want to be a movie star. I want to be. And that's why art is so great, because in a theater play, even you have a lead, but without the people around it, that piece doesn't work. That scene doesn't work. You need the whole is bigger than the single person. And I think it's a wonderful, you said wonderful words, Shemaiah. You hit the nail on the head. It's about inclusion. It's not exclusion, and inclusion of everything, because systems separated us first in gender, then in race, then in sexuality, because they're so limited and they didn't know what to do with us. So now we have to find back that we actually, like a cat, doesn't say it's a black cat, it's a white cat, it's a checkered cat. Who cares? It's a cat is a cat. Humans are humans, and they all have to deliver something. They all have to bring something. And I think that's wonderful, you know, and that you get through art.
Once again, talking to our special guest today, Michaell Magrutsche, and you go to his website. I'll give that to you real quick. It's michaellm.com. That's Michael with 2 L's.com. And today, man, we've been talking about being a successful system navigator versus fulfilled human. If you're listening, hopefully you have been inspired to explore not just art, but appreciating creativity. Because if anything that I took away from this interview is systems are there, but what else? Like expand your mind and your thoughts and learn about each other and humans, because that is the way we can become connected. And with that said, Michaell, what words would you want to give to our listeners in helping them not just appreciate art and creativity, but to also appreciate everyone's differences?
I think it makes life colorful. If you start seeing that we are all one, and you find every human you connect with, you see you get a little bit of one more, a little bit of color, more color, different color that doesn't even exist. You haven't even thought about it. I think if life becomes wonderful, I mean, life becomes a continuous discovery of other human, other races, other cultures, other sexuality, nature. I mean, it's wonderful. The wisdom lies in the living beings, which is nature and humanity. That's where the highest wisdom, that you want to go up, you want to be spiritual, you want to be wise, you want to get what is here to be gotten. You focus on other humans, not to give up of yourself, but to observe and become conscious. And I think life can be wonderful. And it doesn't matter how much money you have or anything, because a couple of weeks I had no money and now I'm good again, but it doesn't really matter because life is wonderful.
And with wrapping this up, there's one book that kind of caught my eye, How to Place Public Art and All Other Art, Maximize Aesthetics to Engage Audiences. I thought that was interesting because you really, based on reading the description on Amazon, you really break down the whole process of how to engage the audience with the right aesthetic placement. And can you touch on that a little bit for anyone who is an artist or someone who appreciates creatives like yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. There's one tip I can give. When you hang a painting or a statue, make sure you can walk into it. It's like you place it in the height where you feel like you could walk into the picture. If you have that, then you have the human connection to that painting. And then it will work for you 10 times better. Most paintings are hung too high. And again, my wisdom comes from the humanity, from the physical thing. If I could walk into this painting, I know I connect with it. If the painting is too high, I can't. So I hope this helps.
Awesome. Well, definitely, hopefully someone who is a professional painting hanger, displaying art, whatever. Hopefully they can learn from that book. I want to point that out because I thought it was pretty interesting on the books that you've written. But once again, those listening right now, go to Michaell's website. That's michaellm.com. That's MICHAE 2 L's M.com. Man, it was a great conversation. I think this was something that was very creative, if you will, but also very engaging. And that's what it's all about on the show. So I want to say thank you, Michaell, for taking time, sharing your unique perspective, but also your story of what you do, man.
Thank you, Shemaiah. I appreciate it.